here, rugby may not be as popular as, say, badminton or basketball or volleyball, but in recent times, it has grown in popularity among Indonesians. And here's a glimpse into the sport and its history.
So rugby, also referred to as rugby union, is a close contact team sport originating in early 19th century England. According to legend, it was created by the 16-year-old student William Webb Ellis, who completely disregarded the rules of soccer or football when he picked up the ball with his hands and ran into the goal. Rugby can be played on any surfaces, but it is mostly played on grass or turf fields.
Some basic techniques you need to master include running, passing, catching the ball, in which Kai just taught me. You'll also need to learn reading opponents' position, teamwork, and getting familiar with the ball's unusual shape to that. Now, also players carry the ball to the goal line in order to score.
Yes. In Indonesia, rugby was first introduced during the colonial era. It was last played about 30 years ago by Australian, New Zealand, and English expats, though these days it has become increasingly popular. So it actually started in Papua, and it moved all the way here to the Java Islands. Yes, it's starting with the mining companies from expats. Because we're not a Commonwealth country.
Yeah.
So it, over time, developed and moved everywhere else.
And now, as you can see, we have the gentleman here. We have Asia Rugby Interim CEO Benjamin van Rooyen in the studio.
Yay!
Thank you, Hans.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you very much.
And how did I do?
I was going to start my introduction with well done.
Oh, wow.
Okay. I also give credit to Kai for introducing you to rugby so well. Well done. Thank you for inviting me.
Of course.
Yes,
of course.
Hopefully we'll see you on the rugby field soon.
Oh my God, that sounds like a challenge to me. So as you know me, I'm up for any challenges. So yeah, I was born ready. Okay, so Ben,
yes.
As we've mentioned, in Southeast Asia, rugby is less popular than soccer.
That's right, badminton.
I might say football, badminton, or basketball. What do you think about the future of women's rugby in particular in Indonesia and also in the region?
Okay, so if you look at, let me start with Asia first. So since 2016 to 2019, we introduced the game to 1 million new players, of which 40% were women or girls. So there's definitely an appetite. Then if you look at Southeast Asia, of course it's growing as part of Asia, but in Indonesia specifically, yes, it's growing because Indonesia rugby is taking to all the provinces. So that's where the growth is, grassroots.
And in particular, women's rugby, why do you think women love this kind of full body, I might say full body contact sport?
Okay.
I mean, this smells like testosterone to me.
Okay, so yes, so this is what I always say to people. If you go in YouTube and Google rugby on YouTube, it's normally people smashing each other. But it has changed now. If you go and Google, you will find women playing rugby. You will find variations of the game. So it does not always have to be, the testosterone-fueled game. So women don't need testosterone to play rugby. So basically, like Kai showed, you just need to be able to catch a ball and run and catch. So to answer your question, I think it's growing because of a lack of sports for women in general. It's like you say, soccer, football, badminton, but nobody's taken the sport to the people. I think this is what we did, Asia Rugby and World Rugby.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's certainly the interesting part. I mean, well, I always say that I play because it's fun. It's good emotional letter. But Ben is certainly right, because there is a lot of opportunity for women here in Asia, especially because they're saturated of, going elite level. There's a lot of opportunity here in Asia, because I think the women's game is very even. It's anybody's game, right? It's very different from the male counterpart, because they're pretty much already established who's the best in rankings in the world and things like that. And for women, it's still very much open. So it's an interesting thing. So.
But this far, what has been done to encourage people especially women, to to participate in this kind of sport?
Well, what do you need? You need to take it to the people, as I said. But if you have competitions, they will come. So we need competitions. That's firstly, and of course we need women's coaches, because every girl should be coached by a female coach. This is what I believe. Yeah. So if coaches and more games. The more you play, the longer you stay.
So probably it's not like me and Kai interviewing Ben. It's like me interviewing Kai and Ben. But Kai, probably just picking up your brain a little bit. All these times you've been playing rugby, is there any emotional value or that you picked up from playing rugby? Because as we know, probably I'm not trying to be sexist, but when it comes to women, they should have this emotional attachment.
That's true.
I'm not saying that men could not have an emotional attachment, but how was it emotional for you as a woman playing rugby?
I mean, it comes with great empowerment, right? I think what Ben said is very true. The game itself is designed very differently, and the game itself is a completely different culture. And what rugby has, what a lot of sports don't have, is the rugby values that is very, 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 how do you say?
It's prominent within the ethos of the game.
Yeah.
So if we say,
wherever stage, wherever level you're in, whether you're still playing, whether you're a child, whether you're a mother, a parent, your children playing, or you're up above an organization, everybody knows the rugby values, and we adhere to those, and it's law for us.
Okay, just to be a bit more profound in rugby values. Ben, can you explain us more about rugby values?
The values,
yes,
discipline.
the values.
So from the start, we say rugby is a disciplined game. Although you may see aggression, it's controlled aggression, same as karate. So discipline, respect is very important. Integrity, and then passion.
Yeah.
And solidarity in the end. So I think that's what Kai got out of it. She felt home in a team, and there was passion, and there was integrity. These are the laws. And we see it sometimes in other sports, the integrity gets lost. I'm not going to name any sports. But the passion is there, the discipline. These are the laws and the rules, and we play by that. So parents and school teachers love this because we're actually bringing a value system to their children. So, yeah, I think lastly is, once in rugby, it's difficult to get out.
That is also true.
Like I said, if you're a mother, you most probably take your kids to rugby.
Yeah.
If you don't want to take your kids to rugby, there's a good chance that you'll become a volunteer lady, helping them. If you're an old retired player, a dad, you would want to coach the kids, So I think people are always saying, what can I do to reinvest in the game? How can I serve the game even if I'm not playing? So I think that's the culture.
Yeah, and I think it's also for women specifically, it's very empowering to know that you have full control over what it is that you're doing. There's something different about the way rugby is played, specifically when I talk to a lot of women. It's like, it's so empowering to have full control and to know what your body is capable of. So it takes a lot of discipline to develop a body fit enough to play at any level of the game. Because unfortunately, rugby, like real contact rugby, I'm not talking socially. If you're in a league, you have to be fit enough to be able to enjoy the game. And to a lot of women, that is a very welcome challenge. And it's a surprising discovery of self.
Well, you were saying about being reinvested. I mean, to rugby.
Yeah.
And I also heard that there are big investments in women's rugby. Can you tell us about that?
Yes, I can tell you that in women's rugby, especially when MasterCard came to the fore and supporting women's rugby at the top level. So yeah, that's an investment. And I think at our level, we invest our time, we invest our educators to train women coaches. And yeah, this weekend we're investing in women's leadership in Jakarta for Southeast Asia teams. Yeah.
I heard somebody is actually taking part.
Yes, somebody has been invited. Yeah, last minute.
But okay, currently the 2021 Women's Rugby World Cup is taking place in New Zealand.
Yep.
Correct.
Not mistaken, okay. And after the pandemic delays, can you tell us a bit more about that?
Yes, of course, New Zealand, rugby mad country.
Yes.
So we're expecting the crowds to turn up. This is going to be the biggest one. But I want to take you back to 2014 when England won it in France. And the next week after that, the clubs had young women arriving and say, we want to play the game.
Really?
Yeah. So that was the biggest injection into that. So I expect the same to happen in New Zealand. Not only in New Zealand, but everybody that's going to be part of it. So somebody from Japan may see this and say, I want to be there in 8 years' time. Yeah.
So the one thing that I think is very progressive about rugby is there is no women in the World Cup anymore. They've decided to change the
it was the 2021 World Cup.
Now it's like we got rid of the women in the Women's Rugby World Cup.
Yeah, it's not the Women's Rugby World Cup anymore. And,
it's just a World Cup.
It's a World Cup. It's a 2021 World Cup, which is played now. Yeah, and within Asia Rugby, we play our finals. If it's a both gender tournament, we play our women's finals at the end this year, not the men's, because traditionally it was always so the women play the curtain raiser and then the men is the main. No, the men play and then the women plays the final.
I see.
Yeah.
So okay, as I knew Kai for like a year and more now, and she's been mentioning about rugby, I started to did my research on rugby and stuff like that. It seems like it's not only a sport, because you guys are also offering leadership scholarship.
That's right, yeah.
So who is actually eligible for a scholarship?
Well, you have to be a woman first. Secondly, if you're in Asia, they will pick 2 from Asia.
2?
2 per year. Yeah. And then from there on, they can decide what they want to do, how they want to grow, whether they want to go to university, or some of them would just do business English classes, or others would go more technical and say, I want to become a better coach or better match official or an administrator.
And how do they obtain one?
Obtain one, they apply. And then...
Is that some sort of test or...
No. I think it's just the criteria. We want to... Firstly, we want to make sure they stay in the game, because it's an investment. And then secondly, we see, do they fit the role, you know? And I think thirdly, we want to make sure everybody in Asia gets a chance, so that it's not only Southeast Asia or the established union. So we want to give everybody a chance from our side.
But so far, do you have any tip on how many people are enrolling themselves already?
There's a big interest.
It is a big interest, but they have to be supported by the union. So we don't know what filtering the unions do through this. So we only get the union nomination. So we could have some countries where we say like, there would be 10 young women applying. The union would pick the best 2 perhaps and present it to us, and then from there we'll go through the criteria. I wish we could give 100, and I'm sure, because we will get 100 a year. And we can actually, if we had money, we could invest in 100 leaders. I mean, this weekend we're investing in 30 women.
Yep.
You know?
So, the Women's Leadership Meeting Summit. What do you hope will come up from
that's a good one.
You first.
It's a good question. So Kai and I were going through the program and said, let's start with a SWOT analysis to see what they think, what their position is, where they're currently in. Then we work with them to change the cap from a coach or a player or administrator to actually a leader.
Yeah.
And then we'll do the SWOT analysis at the end again and say, are you now thinking differently? Because, I mean, the technical stuff we can do, but the leadership that's what we believe. If we give them those building blocks, or just to start to think like a leader, with the leader's cap.
And also, I think the most important thing was us thinking about identifying the challenges that they need to overcome that is common specifically for women in organization and leadership, and really tackle specifically those challenges. Like if communication is your barrier, because a lot of women tend to be, in rugby at least, I had the experience for a lot of years to be the only woman in the room in a meeting. Or here in Indonesia, it's still almost like that every single day, every single time. So some experience, you know, different cultural barriers, communication barriers, and these are the things that we need to equip them to be able to confidently get there. So leadership is one thing, but we also need to equip them with the skills necessary to survive in that that level and area.
And also, among other things, you might find your love in rugby.
It seems that you have found your love in rugby. The way you're holding on to that, right? I think it's going to be a donation to us.
Last one, Ben. As a common people, I'd never played rugby before.
Okay.
It is just, you know, the question that's been hovering in our minds, who don't play rugby. How many bones have you broken?
Have you broken any bones?
One, two. But not many. A couple. But okay, so that's what people think. Oh my goodness, it's a dangerous game. You know, in countries like India, parents don't want their daughters to play because if they break a finger, they might not get a husband.
True.
You know.
True.
So, but there are variations. You can play non-contact rugby. You know, similar to American flag football. You know, where you have a tag belt at the side and you rip off the tag. So, yeah. So there's a place for everybody under the sun.
Yes.
Now you know that it is not, you know, the only thing in rugby being known that you have to break any bones or, you know, you have to play hard and stuff like that. So thank you, Ben, for all these things that you gave to us in terms of information and also the things that you will be doing in Indonesia and the things that you've been done as well. And Kai, thank you so much for teaching me how to pass.
Yes.
And
So just two.
Come down to a session and actually
Yes, two
play.
commitments, yeah. Firstly, Kai invites you, and then secondly, you turn up. Because in August, we had the games in Jakarta.
Yes,
all
we did.
right.
And it was amazing to see the crowd support because for the local men and women's
Yeah,
teams.
yeah. Okay, I'll come to one. I'll come to one. All right, all right. You sold me.